So as I've mentioned to you before, I say this often, when you do as many talks a year as I do, I mean, I don't do 52 talks a year, but I bet I do 45 talks a year. It's important, you gotta look for inspiration in everything. And the good news is, there is inspiration in everything if you know how to look. I've done talks, as you know, on trips that I've gone on. I've done talks on song lyrics and TV shows and commercials and yoga classes and articles I've read and Facebook posts. Really love the Facebook posts and movies and conversations we've had in class. You know, well, like this really, really good conversation in class, and I'll say, can I use that in this week's talk? And people are like, okay, as long as you don't mention my name. So I do it everywhere because unlike a lot of ministers in the field, I don't choose my talk titles and my topics months in advance. I have to wait till I get the cosmic download before I decide what it is I'm going to talk about for the week. And often, that cosmic download comes from pretty strange places like today. So let me tell you where I got this talk title, Live Love. It's not Live Love, it's Live. Live Love is a whole nother story. Anyway. You'll understand what I mean by this. So in today's technologically based world, one of the most accepted forms of communication is texting. And for today's younger generation, texting is absolutely preferred form of communication. Am I right? Am I right? Yeah. Now, I'm not going to get into the rights and wrongs of it. You know, those of us who are a little bit older, like, can't you just have a face-to-face conversation with me? Can't you just pick up the phone and call? But you know what? In this day and age, texting is an acceptable and expedient and popular way of carrying on a conversation. But texting used to really frustrate me in the beginning because I used to have one of these kinds of phones. You know, where each key had 3 letters. And so just texting a really brief thing like, meet me there at 5 was like, meet, a lot of backspacing, a lot of mistakes, right? Okay? So then I got frustrated after a while because everybody's texting. And so I got myself a smartphone. Looked a little something like this. In fact, it still does. And this smartphone had voice recognition. So I could speak my texts into it. And that was really cool until I noticed that the autocorrect often made some pretty interesting interpretations as to what it think that I said. And I wouldn't know it until I'd sent my message, right? And then I'd get a text back from somebody going, what? Lots of question marks. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? So I decided, no more cop-outs for me. I was going to learn how to text properly. And I've gotten okay with it. Those of you who've gotten texts from me know I've gotten okay with it. But there is one error that I continuously make that has led me to today's talk topic. You were wondering where I was going to go with this, weren't you? I'm about to get there. So on a smartphone keyboard, as you can see here, I'll use my little pointer, the I and the O are really close together, right? And because the keyboard is small, unless you're really adept at it, you can hit the I when you really need to hit an O, and you can hit the O when you really mean to hit an I. So for instance, if I want to type I love it, I often type I live it. Anybody else? Yeah? I know, I've gotten texts from you with that. I really live to see you. Okay. And then the other one is I want to live there, and it comes out to I want to love there. So it was then that I realized that rather than this being just a simple typo, it's actually symbolic of a much deeper truth. And that truth is that live and love are synonymous. They mean the same thing. That when we are truly loving, we are living. And when we are truly living, we are loving. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, had this to say. He said, God's whole nature is love and harmony. Therefore, we shall get the best results when we live together in harmony and love toward each other. For out of this love and harmony should flow a greater creativity, a happy livingness, and an expectant enthusiasm. And he didn't even text. He just knew it. And Gandhi said this, where there is love, there is life. And I say that the same is true, that where there is life, there is love. It's one of the major tenets of our teaching. And another major tenet is that everything, ladies and gentlemen, listen to this, this is important. Everything there is made out of the same stuff. You can call it atoms, you can call it quarks, you can call it energy, you can call it stardust, you can call it cells, matter, but it is all the same stuff that takes on different forms. So from a metaphysical standpoint, that stuff is the universal substance of spirit, of God. And one of the other words that we use for God is life. And another word that we use for God is love. So they are synonymous. Life and love are synonymous. That's what I mean. Because both are aspects of the divine nature. And both need to be fully expressed as form. Are you understanding? Are you understanding what I'm saying? Because love, unless it is expressed and experienced, is just a theory. And life, unless the divine can experience and express itself as a living thing, is just unformed potential. So one of the ways that the divine knows itself is through us and as us. So when we live and we love, we are giving it expression. So I'm going to show you a video right now. And I can guarantee it will make you cry. So just be ready for that, okay? Yeah, I see. Okay, yeah, let me get out my Kleenex. I'm seeing it. Oh, that's pretty funny. This little boy that I'm about to show you in the video is 2 years old. And he is autistic and nonverbal. And his mother took him to Disney. And now, to many people, they would see this little boy and think that his life is going to be somewhat limited because of this condition. But I want you to watch what happens when love enters. Right? Should we just go home now? Autistic, nonverbal. And then love happens and he's able to connect. He's able to be there. Now, many people would say that it's easy to live love when we're with the people that we love. Would you agree with that? Yeah. That kind of love is pretty unconditional. We may fight, we may disagree with somebody, we may disapprove of what a loved one is doing, but the love that we have for them, it's constant, it's ongoing. What is less easy is to actually live love with all of those crazy people out there who are doing things crazy. It's very hard to live love. Yes, can I get a show of hands of anybody who can relate to this? Yeah. And yet, that's life. It is our soul's lesson, one of our soul's lessons, to learn how to live love, even when it's challenging. So we're going to look at a few steps today that we can practice that are going to allow us to learn how to live love more often and more authentically. And I say authentically because, you know, it's one thing to be all kumbaya, I love everybody. It's very easy to, say that we're living from love, but what the challenge is when our actions and our words don't back that up. You ever known those people? Hey, yes, I love the world. I'm never like that on the freeway, just in case you don't know that. We don't call it freeway, do we? What's it called? Oh, yeah, okay. Whoops, I outed myself. Okay, so one of the things that happens when we understand the truth about life, truth, and with a capital T, is that we start to understand that love is not only our birthright, it is our nature. It is our true nature. And we can find within us that place that truly lives love all of the time. No exceptions. And yes, I'm still learning. So step number one is to recognize that everything, and I do mean everything and everyone, no exceptions, ladies and gentlemen, and Pat, everyone and everything is part of the all and everything, even or especially when we don't agree with them. For instance, one of my great spiritual practices right now is visualizing a certain political candidate who is running for president of the United States. And visualizing this particular person as part of the all and everything. Seeing that person as pure and perfect God essence. Because as hard as it is, it is the absolute truth. Because even though I disagree with practically everything that this person says and does, this person is still God in expression. And this person is still deserving of love. And not just deserving of love in general, deserving of my love. Because when I withhold love from anyone, I am not living love. Does that make sense? Yeah? Now that doesn't mean I have to go hang out with this person. I don't need to consciously seek them out. But it does mean that I have to allow them in my own mind the right to live and love and express their own uniqueness and their own God self. Which leads me to the next step, and that is letting go of judgments. You know, I gave this a lot of thought when I was working on this talk, and I wish that I knew why judgment is so much a part of our human experience. That conscious or that unconscious need to compare and contrast and judge something as either right or wrong or good or bad or better or worse. Because the problem is when we judge, and we all judge, we are not coming from love. In many cases, it's not that we're coming from hate. What we are coming from when we judge is fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of differences. Fear of losing something. Yes? You relating to this? And yet really think about it, folks. The variety and the diversity, it's what makes life so interesting. Those things that we fear and judge adds to the tapestry of life. Think how boring it would be if everyone and everything was just the same. What if there was only one kind of tree or flower? What if there was only one kind of music? What if there was only one kind of food, or just one culture, or just one way of life? Wouldn't it be boring? Yes. I remember fairly recently, I met a family of people, a group of people who lived life very differently than I do. And it wasn't a cultural difference as much as it was a lifestyle choice, kind of how they were in life. And in the olden days, I might have judged them as low class, coming from the wrong side of the tracks, trailer trash, uneducated, and I wouldn't want to have anything to do with them. And yet the truth is that they are happy, and they are healthy, and they love each other, and they support one another, and they're just living their lives their way, and included me in their circle. Yes, it was different from how I lived my life, but there was nothing wrong with how they lived. And that was a huge realization for me, that when I stopped judging people according to my standards, I could see the love. I could see God in action right there. I was included in it. I was truly living love because I was observing them living love. Which brings us to step number 3. And this is the one that many of us find the most difficult to do. Drum roll, please. Love yourself. If it is true that everything and everyone is part of the all and everything, then that includes ourselves. And any spiritual teacher worth their weight will tell you that loving ourselves is critical. It is crucial to living love. Because if we don't have the capacity to love who we are, we're not able to give of ourselves with an open heart and an open mind. We can't live love unless we are living love for ourselves. And I mean true, sincere, authentic appreciation and acceptance of ourselves for exactly who we are and exactly who we are not. Now, I've said this before, and I mean it, and I say it with a great deal of zest, because it bears repeating. How dare you not love yourself? How dare you withhold love from one of God's divine creations? How dare you? Each one of us, with our foibles and our mistakes and our weaknesses and our roles and our budgets and bad habits and messy houses and bad choices, we are still made up of the same divine substance and energy of God. Each one of us deserves to be treated with the same respect that we show other people. Have you ever listened to some of the things that you say to yourself in the recesses of your mind? You ever listen to that? You would never, ever, in the history of the world, say that to someone else. But you say it to yourself. And yet, who you are, who I am, is precious beyond measure. You are deserving of love. Simply because you live. And when we learn how to love ourselves, when we learn how to truly love ourselves as the amazing, unique, and lovable creatures that we are, then we accept and we love others for who they are. There's a wonderful poem by the Sufi mystic Hafiz. May it be pronounced Hafez. Anybody know? I've always known it as Hafiz, who wrote a poem that really illustrates how to live love for ourselves. And I put it behind this little sweet boy because I just can't get enough of him. But just listen to these words. Listen to these words. Because the one I love lives inside of you. I lean as close to your body with my words as I can. And I think of you all the time, dear pilgrim. Because the one I love goes with you wherever you go. Hafiz will always be near. If you sat before me, wayfarer, with your aura bright from your many charms, my lips could resist rushing to you and needing to befriend your blushed cheek. But my eyes can no longer hide the wondrous fact of who you really are. The beautiful one whom I adore has pitched his royal tent inside of you. So I will always lean my heart as close to your soul as I can. Put your hand on your heart right here. And just feel that. Because the one I love lives inside of you. I lean as close to you as I can. So let's say a few affirmations. Keep your hand on your heart. And repeat after me. I choose today to live love.
I choose today to live love.
I choose to see everyone and everything
I choose to see everyone and everything
as part of the all and everything.
as part of the all and everything.
I choose to let go of judgments
I choose to let go of judgment
and allow others to be who they are.
and allow others to be who they are.
I choose to love myself, truly love myself. I choose to love myself, truly love myself, because the one I love lives inside of me.
Because the one I love lives inside of me.
And you.
And you.
And you.
And you.
And you.
And you.
And everything.